the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. Time for the tale of the tape. San Francisco 49ers versus the Cleveland Browns. And I'm looking forward to comparing these two teams because the Cleveland Browns have one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, and the 49ers consistently find ways to win, whether that is special teams or that's the offense or the defense leading the way. They just consistently find different ways. But I want to see how these teams match up. I want to take a look at the 49ers offense, see how it matches up against a really good Cleveland Browns defense. Now, part of the reason that Cleveland hasn't had as much success this year is some of the limitations on offense. Now, they're going to have a new quarterback at the helm. Shedeur Sanders will be having his second start of the season. How much will that play into the offensive success? We're going to look at the quarterback comparisons between Brock Purdy and Shedeur Sanders. We're also going to take a look at the 49ers defense and how it matches up against the Cleveland Browns offense, which, if you look at the numbers, hasn't been great this year. So we're going to see where the strengths, where the weaknesses are, and where the strengths meet strengths for the opposing team and where strengths meet weaknesses, and how that could benefit each team. And of course, we're going to take a look at the turnovers. We're going to take a look at the third down stats, all the things that make the difference in football games. And that's what I'm excited to talk about in this one. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now, of course, tomorrow Thanksgiving, so happy Turkey Day to everyone that partakes. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Watching some football, there's going to be 3 games on tomorrow. Some of those do have implications for the 49ers. Lions, Packers, that one's going to be extremely important to see what happens. Kansas City, if they knock off Dallas, that's another team trying to catch the 49ers that would be out of the mix. So there's some pivotal games to watch on Thursday as well. And of course, the 49ers aren't done making moves. If you haven't heard by now, the 49ers signed linebacker Eric Kendricks. What's interesting about Kendricks is he was supposed to be a 49er last year. In fact, they signed him before they signed Devondre Campbell. He was supposed to be the will linebacker until Dre Greenlaw came back. And of course, he ended up electing, before he officially signed on the dotted line, to go to Dallas and play for his former defensive coordinator, Ed Mike Zimmer. Now, what's interesting about Eric Kendricks joining the 49ers practice squad is he turned down the same gig with the Baltimore Ravens just 5-6 weeks ago. They offered him a practice squad spot, and he was like, no, I'm not doing that. But now the 49ers have added Kendricks for depth at linebacker, and I think it's needed. I think when you look at this roster, you've got D. Winters, you've got, you thought you had Tatum Bethune, but he's dealing with injury. You've been dealing with injuries with a little bit with Luke Gifford. He's been helping so much on special teams. He's been dealing with the hip and some other things. So depth at linebacker is definitely an issue. They elevated Jalen Graham last week. The expectation is this week, Eric Kendricks will be elevated. Now, how much is he going to help this football team initially? I don't know. He's got to learn this defense. He's got to figure it out. And so this could be a long-term play. But one of the reasons it's entirely smart for the 49ers is you get him in now, and let's say he's not active this week. Then you go through the bye week, and then he would be active after that, right? You could elevate him for the 3 of the remaining 4 games and potentially, get some good play out of him. Kendricks was really good last year for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm actually surprised he wasn't on a roster. So the 49ers add to the linebacker room, and they probably should. You have the injury to Tatum Bethune. It wasn't like Curtis Robinson had his best game last week. You need to make sure you have a do-it-all linebacker. Eric Kendricks is a do-it-all linebacker. He can line up and play Mike. He can play Will. He can play Sam. He can do whatever you need him to do. That versatility could be huge for the 49ers. A very solid pickup here for the 49ers. I wanted to touch on that before we get into the numbers and look at how the 49ers and Cleveland Browns match up. And we'll see. Is Kendricks going to be available this week? He could be, but maybe it's a week away. So just keep that in mind as we remember what's going on. But let's take a look at the records. 49ers at 8-4, the Cleveland Browns at 3-8. So these are two teams at the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? You flip them, and this is what it would look like. Browns have already had their bye week. 49ers have played 12 games consecutive. This is their going home game. 49ers are going to play the Cleveland Browns, and then they are going on a break. They get their bye week, and they'll be rested and ready to go for those final 4 games versus Tennessee, Indianapolis, Chicago, and Seattle. No easy games there. Maybe Tennessee's a very winnable game, but on the road to Indianapolis, that's not going to be easy. Chicago Bears have been playing really good, leading the NFC North right now. And then, of course, the Seahawks in Santa Clara could have big meaning for both teams. Could decide who's the 5th seed. It could decide who is the division winner, depending on how these things play out. So lots of things still to play for, but 49ers are in the mix when it comes to playoffs. The Cleveland Browns definitely, with their 3-8 record, are not. Look at the points per game, and you can see the 49ers, they get it done, scoring points. A lot of it has really jumped over the last several weeks where they've been better and better in the red zone. It feels like every single week they are successful inside the red zone, and it's led to more scoring. Now, this number needs to continue to trend up. Last week, they didn't really meet expectations and score over 30 points. You can't do that when your quarterback throws 3 interceptions. That's just the way it is. Those are 3 drives the 49ers should have gotten points on. One of them, you were near the red zone with the Ricky Pearsall throw that turned into an interception. So that's a loss of points. You can't have those things happen. You look at the Cleveland Browns, and really it's been tough sledding getting into the end zone. Last week, they ran some Wildcat. That worked out with Quinshon Judkins being able to power up, go 11-on-11 football, and get into the end zone. They also had some explosive running plays from Dylan Sampson, even a pass play that was out in the flat that he took to the house. So some explosiveness last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. Can that continue this week? They needed to, because they're only scoring 16.9 points per game. Even with a phenomenal defense like the Cleveland Browns have, you're just not going to win very many games if you can't score more than 17 points. In fact, the last time the 49ers were in Cleveland, they scored 17 points. Well, if Cleveland wasn't able to score more than their 16.9 average, they would lose. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the total amount. Now, when it comes to injuries, it's really not a long list for either team. We talked about Tatum Bethune. Of course, he's going to continue to be out. He's dealing with an ankle sprain. You add Sam Okuwanu to that list. He's dealing with a high ankle sprain, and Kyle Shanahan said today that he's going to be out several weeks. So no Sam Okuwanu. That means Cleveland Farrell is going to be ready to roll. And then Robert Beal Jr. has got a clear concussion protocol. And so as of right now, we'll see. I think Robert Beal Jr. will clear concussion protocol, which means going into this next game, your 4 defensive ends are going to be, Cleveland Farrell, Bryce Huff, Keon White, and Robert Beal Jr. That's who you're going to be rolling with. So 49ers, a little bit thin there. They do have guys on the practice squad they could elevate if needed. But right now, one of those elevations is going to be kicker Matt Gay. So remember that when you're thinking about the depth. They probably need to elevate a linebacker, and they probably need to elevate a kicker. Probably not a position to elevate a defensive end going into this football game. Eddie Pinheiro will continue to be on the injured list. He'll probably come back after the bye week, but no reason to rush him back right now. Matt Gay was really good last week. He was very consistent, ball right down the middle. And anytime it's under 50 yards, Matt Gay for his career is 95%. That's really, really good. So 49ers know how to manage this thing. Get things under 50 yards, a lot like you did with Robbie Gould, and you're more likely to get a field goal. So high percentage field goal opportunities for Matt Gay will be what the 49ers are trying to do. But ultimately, just continue to score touchdowns. Be successful in the red zone, and that's going to benefit you hugely. And then you look at Robert Beal Jr., and right now I left him on the injury report. We'll see how he moves through the week. My guess is that he's going to be ready to go before the game, but we'll see what happens with that. Let's take a look at the offensive yards per game. 49ers, 348 yards per game. The more explosive of the two offenses, that's for sure. Cleveland, they have weapons. I mean, Harold Fenton Jr. has been really good at tight end this year. They have Jerry Jeudy. He's still inconsistent. He'll make a big play. He'll turn over the ball. He'll have a drop. He'll make an explosive play. He's just really inconsistent. And then when you look at the weapons around, David Njoku's pretty good. They've got a pretty good running game, but inconsistencies at quarterback has really been the issue for the Cleveland Browns. And for the 49ers, they continue to put up yards. They continue to move the ball. Success on third down, success on the ground, and then, of course, success through the air have been very important. You look at the 49ers getting close to 100 yards per game on the ground, and this number was usually a lot higher for the 49ers. In fact, the last time they rolled into Cleveland in 2023, they were averaging over 140 yards per game on the ground. That running game was explosive. It was elite. That is not the running game the 49ers have right now. Now, the offensive line had their best game of the season with 4 of the 49ers starting offensive linemen as top 5 in PFF's rankings of the week. So they were top 5 offensive players. 4 of the 5 were offensive linemen, including left guard Spencer Burford, who put up his best mark of the season. So trending in the right direction as far as offensive line goes. Maybe that helps the 49ers this week, but it's not going to be easy when you look at the defensive line led by Myles Garrett and an interior defensive line with Mason Graham, the top 5 pick, and also Malik Collins, who 49er fans are very familiar with. So, when you got that, that's always a concern. And I know I didn't talk about the injuries for the Cleveland Browns. The big one is Alex Wright, the defensive end. He might be out. He did not practice today, so this will be something to watch. He's dealing with a quadriceps injury. He did miss last week. And then Jamari Thrash, the wide receiver, another one that needs to be watched. But you look at Cleveland, and even though they got Quinshon Judkins, even though they've got explosive Dylan Sampson at running back, they haven't been real good running the football, which is a little bit of a surprise when you look at their offensive line. Their offensive line is extremely talented. They made the trade for Cam Robinson from Houston. He's the starting left tackle. Joel Platonio has been a very good offensive guard for his career, likely to retire here in the next couple of years. Ethan Posich, he's the center. Wyatt Teller, the right guard, and then Jack Conklin, the right tackle. A very solid offensive line, yet they can't produce too many yards on the ground because their lack of passing game. Teams are kind of loading the box and coming after that run game to slow it down. Will they be able to do that this week? That's going to be one of the questions. But when you look at what Cleveland does through the air, you ask yourself, why wouldn't we go shut down the running game, make Shedeur Sanders, make this Cleveland Browns offense throw the football on us? With the 49ers, they're able to do it pretty consistently, whether it's Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, 250 yards nearly per game. This is something the 49ers do. For Cleveland, it's a bigger struggle. You look at their weapons, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Isaiah Bond. They got some guys with some speed. They've added Malachi Corley at some point. So it's not that they don't have talent, but they haven't had the trigger man. Dylan Gabriel was a little bit inconsistent at quarterback, and that's why they're sticking with Shedeur Sanders. Sanders threw his first touchdown pass last week, so that's going to be one of the big things. But, under 165 yards through the air is really bad in today's NFL. So expect the 49ers to put the onus on stopping Judkins and stopping Sampson and that group there and putting the pressure on Shedeur Sanders and trying to get to a third down where he has to make some really big throws, and they lock down the tight ends. They play more 2 tight end sets than any other team in the NFL, so that's something to remember. Look at the quarterback competition between Shedeur Sanders and Brock Purdy. And for Brock Purdy, he's completing passes at 68.7%, which is good. You look at Shedeur Sanders, 41.7%. Now, he's had one start, but he has played in a couple of games. Not exactly great right there. He holds on to the football a lot, too. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Brock Purdy in his 4 games has just under 1,000 yards and 979. Hasn't thrown for a lot of yards, especially in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, he's at 200. Last week, under 200. And so he hasn't really got this thing going too much yet in his return, even though he did throw for 2 touchdowns last week. Then you look at Shedeur Sanders. He's thrown for 256 yards. And that's probably why FanDuel has the 49ers as a 5.5-point favorite in Cleveland. So the 49ers right now, the favorite, and the over-under is 36.5. They do not think the 49ers or the Browns are going to score a lot of points in this game. So if you're going to bet with FanDuel. They're going to have a lot of cool player props. They have some bets on Shedeur Sanders, and also with Judkins and Christian McCaffrey. They have Shedeur Sanders at 200-plus yards as one of their alternate bets, as you can put a same-game parlay together using some of Shedeur Sanders, Quinshon Judkins, and Christian McCaffrey. Check all that out. Now, when you look at the touchdowns, Shedeur Sanders had his first touchdown of the season, and it was a pass out in the flat to Dylan Sampson. And Sampson just took off and really took it to the house. It was a big, explosive play. Other than that, he's thrown 2 interceptions, including one last week that went to Snowden. And so he has been a little inconsistent, not exactly explosive. Had a couple of plays last week that looked explosive. But, he definitely is a young player that's prone to turning over the football. That's why you see the 2 interceptions in just 2 games played. But Brock Purdy, his counterpart, has proven this year, to throw a lot of interceptions. He has 7 interceptions on the season. He had 4 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he had 3 last week against the Carolina Panthers. So something about the South, whether it's AFC or NFC South, it's a little bit of problems for him when it comes to turning over the football. He's got to be better at taking care of the football. So 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, that's not good. You want to be at a 2 to 1 ratio. So you if he's got 7 interceptions, he's at 14 touchdowns. Brock Purdy's got to be a lot better taking care of the football. And it's no easy assignment this week going against the Cleveland Browns and this wonderful defense, and I can't wait to talk about their numbers in just a little bit. Now, you look at the sacks. Brock Purdy has played in 4 games. He's been sacked 3 times. Shedeur Sanders has played in 2 games and only 1 start, and he's been sacked 3 times. There are opportunities, even though the Cleveland Browns offensive line is pretty good, to get Shedeur Sanders. He has to read. It takes him a little bit longer, which means opportunities to get home if you're the 49ers defensive pass rush. And I know it hasn't been a great pass rush, but they have opportunities this week against Shedeur Sanders. Look at the quarterback rating. Brock Purdy, 88.6. Shedeur Sanders at a 52.5. Definitely illustrating, what it's like to be a rookie quarterback in the NFL. And with the weather concerns, it could potentially be wet. It could be snow. How are both of these quarterbacks going to handle it? We've seen mixed results from Brock Purdy. We haven't seen Shedeur Sanders operate in the conditions yet in the NFL, so that'll be something to watch. Look at third down conversion rate for the 49ers. They're one of the top in the league. They convert on third down at 46%. They continued it last week. They were over 50% in the game, 7 of 13. So continue to excel on third down. That's going to be big in this game against the Cleveland Browns. You need to keep drives together. You need to wear down this defense. So when you get to the fourth quarter, they're not 100% ready to come after you and really kill you down the stretch. So that's something the 49ers are going to have to be good at. Third down conversions, a lot of that staying ahead of the sticks, having third and shorts. That way this elite pass rush of the Cleveland Browns can't get after you, especially number 95. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Myles Garrett's pretty good. So that's going to be a concern for the 49ers, especially when he lines up on Colton McKivitz, because he's a matchup problem for anyone, but he's a real matchup problem for Colton McKivitz. Now for the Browns, they struggle on third down. This is what I was talking about. Take away the run game, force them into third and longs for Shedeur Sanders, and make him try to complete passes for 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and just make it difficult. I think consistently this Browns offense hasn't proven to be good at conversions, especially 3rd and long conversions. There's an opportunity for the 49ers where their offense is extremely good in third down and the Browns are not. And you look at defense, the Browns defense is really good on third down. 34% is very good. So you've got strength on strength. 49ers offense, really good on third down against a Cleveland Browns defense that's very good on third down. Now, the 49ers defense, not as good on third down, but they played great on third down last week. I said I thought they were going to hold the Panthers to under 35%. They did better than that. They held the Panthers to 1 of 7 on third down. It was a masterclass on getting off the field on third down. So they're at 39%. That's in the good category. So we've seen this number go down a little bit over the last couple weeks. That's good news. They need to get off the field. So it's not really, it's really good versus really good on offense, defense, Niners versus Browns defense. It's bad offense for Cleveland Browns on third down against pretty good defense for the 49ers on third down. So this is a third down should be advantage 49ers. Now they got to go out there and get it done, though. It's not always easy to go out there and execute. Let's look at the red zone offense. 49ers at 62%. They are in the top 10 in the NFL scoring inside the red zone. Last week, they were 2 of 3 inside the red zone, and they wanted that third one, just couldn't get it done. So 49ers have been good inside the red zone. They need to keep that up. And you look at the Browns offense, it's not bad. It's been pretty good when they get there. The problem is they can't string drives together, which is why their yards are low. That's why their third down conversions are low. They just can't get drives together to march down the field and get touchdowns. So not as many opportunities inside the red zone as a lot of the other teams in the league. That is partly the reason that they're not scoring very many points. They only average 16.9 points. They don't have as many opportunities. So 49ers need to keep them out of the red zone because when they get there, they're not bad. But 49ers red zone offense is really good. And the 49ers red zone defense improved over the last couple weeks. They shut out Carolina last week inside the red zone, played really well, only gave up 1 touchdown in the entire game, and that was the 29-yard touchdown to Tetairoa McMillan. So red zone defense has been up and down all season. Sometimes it's been really great. Sometimes it's struggled a little bit. But here's an opportunity for the 49ers against a average, I would say average to good Browns offense inside the red zone to be good again. And you look at the Cleveland Browns defense, though they're fantastic in a lot of areas, they're not fantastic in the red zone. They're really good, but they're not great. And this is one of the things that's surprising about this football team when you start looking at the things that they're really good at. They stop the run well, they stop the pass well, but they do give up points inside the red zone, and they give up points in a game. Actually, 49ers give up less points per game, even though they're not the elite defense that Cleveland is. Cleveland's defense is elite in a lot of categories, except when it comes to scoring defense. They give up 22.2 points per game. Now, a lot of that is offensive ineffectiveness, short fields for opposing teams. All that plays into it, but they still aren't great in the red zone, and those opportunities usually turn into touchdowns. The 49ers are in a situation where if they can get in the red zone and they could go 3 of 5 inside the red zone, they're winning this game. So this is a big opportunity for the 49ers against a very good defense to be able to get some points and score and actually have the advantage. 49ers don't give up as many points per game as the Cleveland Browns, which I found surprising when going through the numbers. Because you look at the yards, Browns allow only 273 yards per game. That's great. Really great. 49ers, 342. 49ers are allowing teams to go up and down the field a little bit more, but they don't allow as many points. And this is where scoring defense matters. Not giving up points is more important than giving up yards. And this is where you see the 49ers defense is better in a couple of categories. You look at pass yards allowed per game. The Browns are almost elite. Around 165 or less is the elite category, and they're hanging around there. And yet they give up 22 points per game. It's really wild to see. They have really good cover guys. They play really hard, and they get after the quarterback. I mean, Myles Garrett's already broken the franchise record for sacks in the season, and they've got Mason Graham. They've got Malik Collins. Now, Alex Wright is hurt, but they still have other guys. You know, Cameron Thomas, Isaiah McGuire. All these guys come after the quarterback as well. And you look at the secondary, and they got Denzel Ward. They traded for Tyson Campbell from Jacksonville, and he's been starting. Then you've got a pretty good safety group with Grant Delpit and Ronnie Hickman. They've got a talented defense, but it starts up front with Myles Garrett and that defensive line. And 170 yards, you know, that's not very much. But the 49ers average 249 yards through the air on offense. This is strength on strength. The 49ers pass offense versus the Cleveland Browns pass defense. Definitely strength on strength. Let's look at the run game. 49ers actually allow less yards on the ground than the Cleveland Browns defense. This is another avenue the 49ers need to try to attack. You want to slow down a pass rush? Run the ball consistently. We know Malik Collins is really good at playing, rushing the passer. What he's not great at is stopping the run. He's good. He's not great at stopping the run. Mason Graham, he's been good rushing the passer this year. I wouldn't say he's been great at stopping the run. This is your opportunity to run the football. You can run the football on the Cleveland Browns. It's not going to be easy. They have talented linebackers. They have talented defensive frontline players. But you can. Carson Schlesinger, Devin Bush are the linebackers. They're pretty good. But here's an opportunity for you. Now, it's not a big opportunity because Cleveland's still good at stopping the run, but there's a little slight advantage here for the 49ers, and they've been doing it good against the run this year. It's been getting better and better week after week, slowly bringing that number down, and that's what you're going to have to do against Judkins and against Sampson is keep them from having explosive plays, keep this run game bottled up, and you're going to have some opportunities. Now, let's take a look at turnovers. 49ers give the ball away almost more than any other team in the league. 18 giveaways for the San Francisco 49ers this season. Not good. Cleveland Browns, they give it away 13 times. And we know the Panthers had given it away 15 times. These are markers of an unsuccessful offense for the most part. 49ers need to not turn over the football. When they don't turn over the football and Brock Purdy clicks, they can score 40 points. When they turn over the football and this offense will get out of rhythm, and they dominated Carolina. And you can't run into the risk of allowing Cleveland to kind of hang on and get some defensive turnovers that keep this 49ers offense out of sync. They need to get going. So this is going to be a huge thing. 49ers need to take care of the ball in this game. Takeaways. The Browns have created 15 takeaways. That's a good number. It's not elite. It's good. 49ers takeaways are jumping up. In fact, 5 in the last 2 weeks. They had 7 going into the game 2 weeks ago. Just shows you they're starting to make plays on the football. Secondary, start making interceptions, right? Deommodore Noor, interception. Jair Brown, 2 interceptions last week. Lenore's a couple weeks ago. Turnovers, as far as fumbles, they are making things happen. The defense is going to have to continue that. And the offense is going to have to take care of the ball. If the 49ers can ever get it to where they don't turn over the ball and they create turnovers, they're going to go back to blowing people out the way they did a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals. So that's going to be huge. Look at the turnover differential. 49ers at -6, Browns at +2. So even though the Browns have turned the ball over 13 times, they're still +2. What's interesting is the last time the 49ers played the Browns, the 49ers were +9 going into that game. And then the Cleveland Browns caused all kinds of problems for the 49ers. And this is Jim Schwartz against Kyle Shanahan. For whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan struggles against Jim Schwartz defenses. Now, he has beat him, so it's not like he has ownage on Kyle Shanahan, but you're going to have some key matchups this week. I can't wait to talk about the key matchups. We're going to be talking about that on Friday. Of course, the game preview show, setting everything up on Saturday. All those things are available. I'm waiting for my film so I can do the film breakdowns on Patreon, but so far I haven't got anything, so I'm waiting on my guy. So when I get that, then I'll start doing the film breakdowns over there as well. So all of that is going to be coming this week. I appreciate you all coming through. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network. Please give it a 5-star rating. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.